Okay, we're up to Kuf Yud Amid Beis, Kuf Yud Amid Beis. For posterity's sake, I had people watching this. I had a surgery on my arm today, on my shoulder, and everything's going to be great. Okay, says the Mishnah. Hamakabel Sada Mechavero L'Shvua. So you will makabel either it could be a chachiris or it could be a risis for a 7 year, not a 7 year, for a Shemitah cycle. You didn't say 7 years, a Shemitah cycle. So what's the halacha? And the price was b'sheva me'asuz hashvias min minyan. Then shvias is going to count, even though you can't cultivate during shvias. It's going to count. It's going to count because you said a shemitah cycle. Conversely, kibli menu sheva shanim b'sheva me'asuz. You makabel 7 years, 7 years for 7 me'asuz, an open 7 years. That ain't a shvias min minyan. Shvias doesn't count. For all intents and purposes, we've just finished the sugya of chachiris, at least until now. And now we're going to begin an interesting sugya, the sugya of withholding the wages of a worker, which you cannot believe how severe they are. You can just not believe how severe they are. Okay. In Parshas Vayikra, it says, Leisashik esrei acha, don't hold back the wages of your friend. V'loy sigzol, do not steal. And leisolin pula sachir itcha ad boker, do not let lodge the pu'ula of a worker with you overnight. 3 lavim guys, 1, 2, 3, and as we'll see in the Gemara, this is referring to a schir yom. This is referring to a day worker. In Mishnah Torah, in Devarim, it says, do not hold back the wages of a worker, an ani or an evyon, the pauper or the destitute, from your brothers, or from a ger that's in your land, in your gates. We'll darshan these pasukim on the Amid Beis. On the day that he works, should I make this bigger? On the day that he works, titen scharo, you should give him his schar. Don't let the sun set. Ki anihu. So we have a little bit. Let's get the numbers: 1 lav, 2 lav, 3 lav, 4 lav, 5 lav, and 1 asay. A mitzvah asay to pay him in time, and 5 lavim associated with holding back the wages. Really a severe issa. Now, this pasuk that says lo solin pulas schar itcha ad boker is meaning this guy worked during the day. So if he worked during the day, schiris is paid at the end of the day. So you should not hold until the morning. Nighttime is the time of him being paid. This pasuk is speaking of like savo elav hashemesh ki anihu. Don't let the sun go. Don't let the sun come up, because this is a night worker. This is a person who worked at night. So and his payment is during the day. So don't let the sun set. Like savo elav hashemesh, don't let the sun set on him. So one is speaking about schar yom, speaking of schar laila. Okay, we're going to be referring back to this chart ad nauseum. Okay, without this chart, the Gemara is very hard to understand. But needless to say, right now at Derech Hakdama, there are 5 lavim associated with holding back the wages of a worker, and there's 1 asay to pay him on time. Beyond what titeng says the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah. Skiyayim, a day worker, goiva kolay laila, collects the whole night. Skir laila, a night worker, gova kolayim, collects the whole day. Skir sha'is, a person who works for hours, goiva kolayila, collects the whole night. The kolayim and the whole day. We'll see what that means. Skir Shabbos, a person who works for a week. Skir chodesh, a monthly worker. Skir shana, a year worker. Skir shvua, a 7-year worker. Yatsa biyom, if it ends up during the day, gova kolayim. Yatsa b'layla goyve kol halayla v'chol hayom. So we'll have to see that last din. Why, if it finishes at night, does he collect day and night? Okay. So these are the halachas associated with a night worker and day worker. Tanabana. Minayin l'schir yom shegoy v'kol halayla. How do you know a schir works during the day, collects the whole night? Hamadloimar le'solin pula sakir itcha ad boiker. Do not hold it with you till the morning. Right? Do not hold it with you until the morning. Uminayin l'schir layla shegoy v'kol hayoim shenemar biyomo titein scharo. In the daytime, you should give it to him. The ema ibcha. Let's say the pasuk of le'solin is speaking about collecting the whole day, and the one is that says what Schulaila is collecting the whole night. Says the Gemara, Schiris eina mishtalem esel b'seif. Schiris, even though he's a nighttime worker, you're not chayiv to give it to him until he finishes the job. When he finishes his job, then the time of collection is during the day. If he's a daytime worker, the schiris is only paid at the end of the day. The mela what the time of collection would be at night. Tan Rabbanan. Now, what does leisolin mean? Leisolin means lashon of keeping, like lin means to lie down. So implication is it's speaking at night. So when it says leisolin pulas itcha eni yedeya, don't I know that shad biker? Don't I know that means until the morning? Why do you have to tell me ad biker? It says leisolin. Malamit sheina overlove el ad biker rishon bilvad. Interesting halacha. It's if you withhold wages for a few days, you're only over the Isser once. Leisolin is only over the first night. Just at Boiker, meaning one Boiker Rishon, and that's it. If you don't pay him by the morning, that's it. But the next day, if you hold back and don't pay him, you won't be over. What about further? In other words, you mean you're messing the guy over, you're not paying him, and you're just going to keep on holding back. So Amarav, over mishum bal tasha. You're over on delaying, which again, that you'd always be over. Now, this delaying, fellas, is not an Issa Daraisa, it's an Issa Kabbalah. Where do you know it from? Amrav Yosef, my Kra, what's the pasuk to teach me of Bal Tasha? Says the Gemara, Al Toimer L'Reacha, don't not tell your friend, there's a pasuk in Mishlei, Lech V'shuv, go back and return, Umachar and tomorrow, Etain, V'yesh Itcha, and you have it now. Don't go ahead and do it. To make him go back and come back, that's a Kabbalah Dikadin of Baal Tasha. Do not go ahead and delay paying him. Okay. Someone says to his friend, say Sachali Poyalim, go rent for me Poyalim. Go rent for me Poyalim. Shneim ain't Oivrim. The Balabas who wants the workers and the Shliach that he sent to hire the workers are not over, are not paying Mishum Batalim because of legalese. Legalese is when we dagdake the Torah. Why? Zelefi Shaloi Skaran. This one because he did not go ahead and rent. In other words, he sent the person but he didn't rent. The Zelefi Sheina Pulasai. And this one because why? Did not his Pulasai is not working by him. So the owner is not over on Leisolin because he didn't go ahead and hire them. He sent somebody else. And the one who hired them is not working for him. Now, I would ask the question, what about Shlucha Shalom Kamosa? Shlucha Shalom Kamosa. In other words, you sent this person to hire workers. Why is he not considered what? You. And therefore it should be over on Leisolin. I have in my Ksavim to look in the Meshech Chochmah in Perik Yutes Pasuk Yud Gimel. I didn't really get a chance to look at it. I perfunctorily looked at it, and I did have the mind to make it. But I may owe you one on the Meshech Chochmah to explain why we don't say over here Shlucha Shalom Kamaisa. Okay, I'll take a look at it maybe tomorrow. Bez Hashem, if I'm feeling a little better, we'll get to it. Okay, but that question is on the table. Now, so it's a statement. You're not over on Leisolin. Why are you not allowed to Solin? The worker because they're not working by him. And Balabas, because he didn't hire them, because the worker did. Now the Gemara wants to know Hekidam. What exactly are we speaking about? If he said your schar is upon me, meaning the shliach said I'm going to pay you scharo elavu, and therefore he has to pay them. Where do you see that he has to pay them? Well, we saw this in Asleicher Es Umanim. As the Tanya, Asleicher Es Apoyo Lasois Bishaloi. If someone hires a worker to go ahead and work for him, and then he shows him somebody else's field, and then they work that field. The one who hired them pays them. And then the one who hired them will go collect from the balabayas of that field. What Hanoi had. So what do you see? A shliach that hires somebody has to pay. So why do you say over here that the shliach's not over on Leisalin? It would make sense. The shliach is over on Leisalin. Says the Gemara. Like tzricha the amalahu scharchem al balabayas. Your schar is on the balabayas. So therefore, he said it's not on me. So the balabayas is not over again because he didn't hire them, and the one who hired them is not over it because he said the schar is on the balabayas. Now this seems to be a very, very good way to avoid the problem, and as the Gemara now illustrates, Yehuda bar Merema amalei l'shamei zil orgali poilim ve'emalahu, and tell them scharchem al balabayas. Tell them the schar is on the balabayas. It's very interesting to note that it's not pshat that these people are worried are not paying him. They're being worried about the Isser of Leisalim. Chas v'shalom to think that Yehuda bar Merema is hiring people and he wants to go ahead and get away with murder. We're speaking about what? The Isser of Leisalim, of not being over that Isser, which is a one night stand, guys. It's a one night deal. It's a one night deal. So therefore, he wants to avoid this legalese. So go ahead, and here's a good way of doing it. Send the shliach, tell the shliach the schar, and you tell him that what, and the schar is on the balabayas. If you do that, you're good. Meremu Mazutra Agri Ladadi. When Meremu Mazutra would hire people, each one would do the hiring for the other, and they would say scharchem ala balabayas. That's what they would do. Amar Rabba bar Avhuna, Hani Shikoi de Surah. The Shikoi de Surah. Rashi says these are balabatim of Surah, and it's not time to go ahead. They don't have money until the Yom HaShuk. They have a cash flow problem. I guess that's what it's called. They're having a cash flow problem because they're only going to get paid the Yom HaShuk, yet they need workers. So what do you do? So what would they do? Le'avi mishum bal salin, because maybe yada, everyone knows, even the worker knows, the al yuma de shuka samichi. They're being saimich on the yuma de shuk, right? They're being saimich on getting paid then, because they won't have the money now. Al mishum bal tasha vaday over. But al bat tasha, which is that divrei kabbalah we saw from Mishlei, vaday they would be over. Schir shois goyve kol halayla v'chol hayoyim. A schir shois, a guy who works for an hourly what? Then he can collect day and he can collect night. He can collect day and he can collect night. He can be over. That's a schir shois. He can collect day and he can collect night. Pini, we're on Kuf Yud Aleph Amid Aleph, the first wide line. Amarav schir shois the yoyim goyve kol hayoyim. Schir shois the laila goyve kol halayla. Not like our Mishnah. Our Mishnah said schir laila collects day and night. Shmuel Amar schir shois the yoyim goyve kol hayoyim. Schir shois the laila goyve kol halayla v'chol hayoyim. He collects the whole day and all night. Again, vayi erev vayi voker, fellas. When does the Jewish day start? It starts the night before. It starts the night before, right? So therefore, if he is a schir laila, he can collect that night and the day afterwards. Therefore, it would explain by Sacha Kol Hayom B'Chol HaLayla. Tanan, we're going to ask on Rav. Skir Shois Goy B'Chol Hayom B'Chol HaLayla. You have to the Rav. The last dinner on Mishnah, we said I said Skir Laila. I meant Skir Shois. I'm sorry. Skir Shois. Skir Shois, he collects day and night. So you have to the Rav who says he only collects during if he finishes during the day, night. Rav, let's study. Rav says the Mishnah Ketani. You learn the Mishnah. Let's study. Don't learn it as one statement. Learn it as dual statements. Schir shois the yoim goy v'kol hayoyim. Schir shois the laila goy v'kol hayoyim. But don't learn the following. Schir shois the yoim goy v'shois goy v'kol hayoyim v'kol halayla. Just learn simply. Schir shois the yoim. Schir shois the laila is the laila. Tanan. Schir Shabbos, again a question on Rav from our Mishnah, right? Schir Shabbos skir chodesh, skir shana. He was working for a week, for a month, or for a year. Skir shvua, or a 7-year period. Yaitze b'yom gova kol yom, yaitze b'layla gova kol hayoyim v'chol halayla v'chol hayoyim. If he finishes at night, he collects day and night. According to Rav, he should only collect at night. Amalach Rav Tanohi. Okay, you're right. From our Mishnah, that's shver. It's a machlokes Tanoim. It's a machlokes Tanoim. In other words, I have someone I hold like. Let's see. Skir shois the yoim, goiva kol hayoyim, shois the laila, goiva kol halayla, div Reb Yehuda. That's it. That's Rav, guys, right there. The skir laila is not collecting day and night. He's only collecting night. That's Rav. Reb Shimon Oimer, skir shois the yoim, goiva kol hayoyim, skir shois the laila, goiva kol halayla, the kol hayoyim. Okay, so therefore, guys, again, what's the purpose? Why is the skir laila get more? Because we know the Jewish day begins the night before. So if he's skir laila, he's getting laila and yoim. Hashem came during the day. The laila doesn't go after the day. It says vayi erev vayivoke, first erev and then voke, not opposite. Mikan omru vibalt that a skir shois. This is the way the Ran learns. Vibalt the skir shois gets day, and if he works at night, he gets day and night. In other words, this guy, you see that the Torah is so makbid to give him money that in the Itai, if you go ahead and you hold back his wages, you're over on 5 shemais. That means, guys, 5 lavim, and 1 asay. 5 lavim, 1 asay. Let's go over them one more time. The Gemara is going to do it, but let's do it again. Leisashik esrayacha 1. Like Sigzal 2, this is a pasuk. Like Sigel, like Solim Pula Sacher Itcha Ad Baike, this is Vayikra Yotes Yud Gimel, that's the Meshech Chachma, and that's the 3rd lav. Now in the Varim, like Sashik Skir Ani Ve'evya Me'akecha, that's the 4th lav, and B'yomu Titain is the Asay, like Savor Lov Hashemesh is the 5th lav. So you have 5 lavim and 1 Asay. You have 5 lavim and 1 Asay. And now that's the Gemara is going to state. Says the Gemara, Mikan Amru, Kalakovish Chasacher, Oive Behe Shemais, Halalu, the essay, and 1 assay. Mishum Bal Tashik Esreyecha, Mishum Bal Tigzol, Mishum Bal Tashik Skis Ani, and Mishum Bal Tolin, and Mishum Biyomatit in Skarai, and Mishum Leisavoy Elov Hashemesh. Now, Fred the Gemara, some were by day and some were by night. Why do you say you're over on all 5? In other words, just because you didn't pay during the day, why should I be over on the night shift? Just because I didn't pay on the night shift, why should I be on the day shift? In other words, so the Gemara is asking Kasha, L'chaira, clearly one pasuk was speaking about a day worker, one person was speaking about a night worker. Why are you going to be mechayiv me all these? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Chisda, Shem Skiris Ba'alma. I didn't mean you're over on all 5. I just mean that within the Skiris, there are 5 possibilities. Take a look at Rashi, guys. Go down a little bit. Shem Skiris, Kula Bechad Vaday Lemishkachasla. Vaday, you're not going to find all 5 by 1. You won't find all 5 by 1. Elahachi Kamar, Averis, Kol Hashemis Halalu, all these 5 Averis, B'Shem Skiris, pain, they all have to do with workers. Yesh Mehem B'Skiris Laila, Yesh Mehem B'Skiris Yoim. Some apply during the day, some apply during the night, but you see that what we're talking about, that we're talking about workers. Okay, now, this pasuk guy said, you have a like sashlik and like sigzo. What's the difference? What's the difference between holding back wages and stealing wages? The Gemara wants to know a defining difference. When are you over? When are you over this one? When are you over on this one? Okay, the Gemara wants to go ahead and define the difference. So we're going to spend this time until basically the Mishnah. Okay. Says the Gemara.
Does there have to be a difference? Can it just be that, as many times in this Torah it says lava olav b'shtei lavim, just to give him 2?
That is one answer. That is one answer. That's Rav's answer. But other Amaroyim I give working answers. Very good. That's Rav's answer. To be chayva and 2 lavim, but we're going to see a different shot. Says the Gemara. Ezu oishik ve'ezu gezel. What's oishik? What's gezel? Rav Chisda. Now, I teach like sashik holding back wages. So therefore, this would fit. This would be a good definition. If the guy comes to collect and you say late, v'shuv l'cha, come back, v'shuv, so oishik. When you make the person come back multiple times, you're moided that he worked for you, and you just make him come back multiple times. That's oishik. Okay, zeu oishik. Yesh l'cha biyadi, v'ani nasati l'cha. I have it, and I don't want to give it to you. Yesh l'cha biyadi ve'eni nice l'cha, but I'm not going to give it to you. So gezel, that's gezel. Maskevla. Now gezel, guys, is mashma Rashi brings is more of a direct avla. Oishik means you're giving the guy, my father used to say, the futch. You know, you the walk around. You're giving him the dray cup, right? Come back, Like sigzal is you're speaking some zach. I owe you the money, and I ain't giving it to you. So in every interpretation we're going to have over here, we're going to see like sigzal being that type of strong lashon. That type of strong lashon. So again, we're reviewing Rav Chisda. What did Rav Chisda say? Oishik is come back tomorrow, and gezel is I owe you, but I'm not going to give it to you. Maskela Rav Sheishes Eze Oishik Shechayv of Torah. Now in the Torah itself, fellas, we saw in the Pasha of Osham Gezelis and Vayikra Hey, right? What does it say over there? It says that if the kikish ba'mishay b'pikadin, oy oishik es amisay. Ves hashama yavi Hashem. Ves hashama, you're gonna have to make a carbon hasham. So there, it's speaking where you lied, you admitted, and then you're going to bring a carbon. And there it says the lashon of oishik. It says the lashon of oishik. Now it says v'kichesh be'amisay, guys. What does v'kichesh mean? You deny. Rav Chisda's working was, I owe you, come back tomorrow. I owe you, come back tomorrow. If that's pshat in Oishek, how do you explain it by Asham Gezeles, where clearly it has to be v'kichesh be'amisai, where you're denying. So you're working kichesh that you have of the working Oishek you have over here by workers does not fit in by the pasha of Asham Gezeles, and therefore maybe we have to redo it. So therefore we're questioning Rav Chisda. Maskela Rav Sheishes. Ezel oishek shechayil of Torah carbon. What's the oishek that you're withholding wages that the Torah is mechayiv me? Dumya de pikadin. It has to be denying that the guy gave you something to watch. The kakafalei mimoina. You're being kaffa money. So it must be by oishek that you say the guy comes to you, the worker, and says, "Where's my wages?" And you say, "I don't know." Well, what's Rav Chisda saying? I owe you. Come back tomorrow. Ella Amrav Sheishes. The Gemara is going to ask why was only a kasha by Oishek, why not by Gezel? The way Rav Chisda learned Pshat and Gezel. How do you learn Pshat and Gezel? I owe you, and I'm not going to give it to you. Okay, anyway. Ella Amrav Sheishes. Nasativ L'cha Zehu Oishek. I'll give it to you. That's Oishek. I gave it to you. Excuse me. He's denying owing him. He didn't say you didn't work for me. You know what he told him? I gave it to you. I have it in my hands, and I'm not giving you Zeo Gezel. Okay, so now we have a working pshat of Oishik that fits in with Kfira. He's going to deny the money. He goes, I gave it to you already. And Gezel, Rav Sheish is staying the same as Rav Chisda, that it said that I owe you, and I'm not giving it to you. Maskela Rabbi, Ezu Gezel Shechayel of Torah. Carbon, what's the Gezel that you chayev a carbon Hashem Gezelos? Dumya de Pikadin beinin the kakafalei mamoina. So in other words, we have the same problem now by Gezel as we had by Oishek. You can't say that you owed you something. It's got to be that you denied completely, because Pikadin is you denied having it in your rishus. So therefore, we have a problem. What exactly is Gezel, right? Ela Oma Abaya loisecharticha me'olam. I never hired you whatsoever. Zehu Oishek. Nasativ L'cha, I gave it to you. Zehu Gezel. That's Gezel. So now we're fitting it in that he worked for you. You say, I never worked for you. That's Oishek. Gezel is, I gave it to you. Rav Sheishes, Maishna Oishek de Kashalei, Maishna Gezel de Kashalei. L'chari had a kasha from Oishek. What was the kasha from Oishek? You tell the guy he gave it to you, and now you say no. You're saying that what? Come back tomorrow. Rav Sheisha said what? Excuse me. He said, I gave it to you already. So why by then do we have a problem? If I say I gave it to you already, you're not denying. Gezel also is in the parsha of Pikadon also should be I gave it to you. In other words, you should have the same problem that you can't say I owe you and I don't want to give it to you. It has to be I never had it in the first place. So right. So it says the Gemara, Maishna Gezel Kashle, Amalach, Gezel the Gezela. Gezela means the Gazle, he returned it. For Hada Kafre. He stole it. The guy came and he said, yeah, it's true, I stole it from you. Now he takes him to Besdin. You know what he does in Besdin? He denies in Besdin. The kafira takes place in Besdin. He's not kaifer to the guy. He's kaifer to the Besdin. I never had it. I feel oishik nami the Hada Kafre. By oishik fellas, why don't you say the same case? He says, I owe you the money, come back tomorrow. The guy takes him to Besdin. He can say, I never owed you money. Why do you have to give this case speaking where he denied completely working for him, right? Says the Gemara, Hachi Hashta. Bishlema Asam Kesiv, Oy Bi Gezel. Now, Oy Bi Gezel's mashma, that Big Gezel, he's admitting to the Gezela. And then he's Kaifer. But over here, by Oishik, the Oy Dilei Meikara, by Gezel, he's Moida, Oy Bi Gezel, or in Gezel, meaning it's been established as the Gezel. It's been established as the Gezela. Then he's Kaifer. But by Oishek, it doesn't say that. Avagabi Oishek, Miksiv Oy Be Oishek, Oishek Kisiv, Sha'ashku Kfar. He denied it completely. So that is in this working limaskana, in this working model, over here, Lesashagas Reacha, it's got to be similar to Kfira by Hashem Gezelois. So it's speaking where everybody told him, right? You never worked for me. Like Sigzo is speaking about where when you came to him, he told you, I stole and not giving to you. You take him to best, and he denies it completely. That's the working model. He denies it completely. That maskana, that is the working model. Rava Amma, Rava Avi's Teretz, Zehu Oishik, Zehu Gezel, the same thing. Lama Chilkan Akasif. Why does the Torah divide them? Lava Labishnei Lavim. To be override on two Lavim. Okay, so they just very easy teretz. Says the Mishnah. Now, this Mishnah, guys, is going to be all drushes in the Gemara. It's going to be all drushes in the Gemara. How to learn Pshat in this Mishnah. Echet Skir Adam, whether you hired a person. Echet Skir Behema, you hired a person's Behema. The Echet Skir Kalim, you rented Kalim from a person, and now the person's collecting. All of these, Yesh Lai Mishum, B'yamim Kitin Skarai, you have to pay him on time, Mrs. Asay. Yesh Lai Mishum, Lai Salam Pulasachit Chad Biker. And the Gemara is going to say on the Amid Beis, it's Shaykh all five. It's Shaykh all five. All five are Shaykh, depending on the situation, but it would be Shaykh all five. Okay. Amasai, when is he over? Bisman Shetavu. That's when the worker claims it from him. Loi Tavu, if the worker does not go ahead and claim it from him, ain't no over the Balabai is not over. He has to wait for the guy to go claim from him. Okay? He has to wait for the guy to go ahead and claim from him. Says Rashi, Leisavu Eino over a love, Bigamor Yolaf Leidichsiv, Itach, Bidaitcha. What was the Lashon over there? Lashon of the Pasuk. Yeah. Leisolin Pulasacha Itcha ad Biker. Itcha means Midaitcha. It has to be Midaitcha. That the guy was Tavea you, and you're keeping it what? With your own das, not giving him. But if he was never Tavea you could be willing to give it to him, but he's not there to collect it. Right? Like so Pulasacha Itach, or what is it? Itcha. With you means with your das. You're over on Leisolin when it's your das. When it's not your das, why? Because the guy didn't come to collect it. Then you're not over Leisolin. You're not over Leisolin, right? You might think you physically have to go out and find and give it to him. I guess not. So says the Gemara, if he doesn't go ahead and tayvei, you're not over a love. Him who? Rashi says that you went ahead, you took his wages, and you gave it over to a chenvani or a shulchani, saying you pay him and I'll reimburse you. And you pay the workers and I'll reimburse you. Ain't no over. Balabais is not over, right? Even if the worker doesn't claim from them, even though he doesn't take it from them, once you give it over to them, you're shuv no longer sullen. This is interesting, guys. Sullen is a one night chance, right? It's one night. You guy doesn't collect in the morning. He's a scare lila. It doesn't collect in the morning. That's it. He's a scare.
Who says the employee agrees to that?
Who cares? The employee gave it over to him. What are you talking about? What do you mean?
The employee. I thought the employer appointed
who's talking here?
You are.
Well, Harold, you could finish. I'm sorry.
I can't see. I can see.
Like Heshi. I gave over. What's your questioning? Which din?
The last in the Mishnah. Who he's not high. Who gave rishus that it should be delivered through a shliach to the employee?
The balabas.
The employee or the balabas?
Balabas went and he said, "Listen, you pay the employee."
Yeah, but I'm saying the employee could say, "I never, the fact that shliach didn't pay, I don't care.
I hired you for $100. Go collect it from them."
Oh, so he knows beforehand. That's the deal.
He doesn't know beforehand. He gave over the payment to them. They want to get paid. Who's paying them? The shulchani or the shulchani or the chenvani. Their fruit is the same fruit that the balabas could provided. Their money is the same money the balabas can provided. Why do you need them to be masking?
I'm just saying. It would seem logical that I don't care how I get as long as I get it when I'm supposed to.
That's exactly the point.
All right.
So you're in agreement.
Yes.
What's the logic behind the workers having to be toveya their own wages? Isn't there a chiyuv that once they did the work and they produced what they're supposed to, isn't there an automatic?
What does toveya mean? It's not a taina. It doesn't mean a taina. It means it comes to collect. It means you're coming to collect. It's not like tavu. They're coming to collect. They're not taking them to court, Rav Avi. You're being very, very, you understand. They're coming to collect their wages. They're not coming to, he's not denying it. He's not denying it. I owe you money. You come collect from me. If you don't, I'm not over the Yisa. That's all. There's no claim. No one is claiming they don't owe you the Tain and Bezdin. It's not a claim. Tavu means to go ahead and collect. Okay. Sacher that goes ahead and goes to the Balabayas Bismanoi, and the Balabayas claims that he paid him. Now he claims he paid him. Nishba, the Sacher swears, V'noitel, and he collects his money. So we're going to see, we have to get into the idea of shvua, of collecting with a shvua. Okay? Avis manoi, once the time passes, Eina nishba v'noitel. And we'll see this in the Gemara. V'im yesh eidim shetavu, we have eidim that the Sacha did make a claim, has a nishba v'noitel. Okay, we'll see that as a separate din. This last din is important for today's Gemara. Ger Toishav. Ger Toishav Rashi tells you, Shekibo love shlei lavod avodah zara avoichin levelos u'trefis. He's makabel, even though one of the Zayim mitzvahs are not to do avodah zara, some goyim are lax. So he makes a claim that you should not go be over on eating the velos and avodah zara, and also he eats the velos and trefis, so you can be, when you shecht it, you can mekayim the ger asher b'shrechet titnana. You should give it to the ger. So a ger toishav le'inyan working. Yesh b'mishum b'yomu titin scharoi. There's a mitzvah that say to go ahead and pay him. The ein b'mishum le'salin pulasachir itchad b'ger. But there's no isser of there's no lav. So by the ger toishav, there is a mitzvah asay, but there is no lav, and the Gemara will explain why. Okay, the Gemara will explain why. Okay, now moni masnisan. Who's the Tana of our Mishnah? We're gonna have a problem over here. Loi Tanakama de me'achecha. It's not the Tanakama of the Brisa of Achecha, which we're going to meet in a second. But Loi Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, nor is the Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda of that Brisa. So, fellas, we're going to bring a Brisa in, and that Brisa is not going to work out. That Brisa is not going to work out, and here's the reason it's not going to work out. Let's do a little foreshadowing. You have schar behema v'kelim, you have ger toishav. So a person worked this animal, he worked kelim or ger toishav. Our Mishnah says that you're over on everything. Schar behema v'kelim, you're over on everything. Hakol, good. Ger toishav, you're only over on the asay. Correct, guys? That was a Mishnah. Only the asay beyond with titain. The Tanakama of the next Bryce is going to say you're over hakol over here, and you're over hakol over here. So therefore, he can't be the Tana of our Mishnah, because he says ger toishav is also over the lav, not just what, not just the asay, but also the lav. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, he agrees with our Mishnah over here, b'yomo titain. He agrees with our Mishnah over here, but he's not over here. Over here, he says you're only over on loisasik schar ani. You're not over everything. You're only over loisasik schar ani. So therefore, the Tanakama and Rabbi Yosef Yehuda cannot be the Tana of our Mishnah. The Tanakama because of the Sefer of Ger Toishav, and Rabbi Yosef Yehuda because of the Reisha of Leisasik Schar Ani. Okay, that's the Gemara that we're going to see right now, and I just saved you a lot of time. I did not make this chart today. Don't think I'm such a tzaddik. This is an alta chart, and it might make the blog even though it's a handwritten chart. Who knows? That would be too much Shalom Hazeh. Anyway, says the Gemara. So who's the Tana of the Mishnah? Ma'i Tanya. Me'achecha. Again, the pasuk said, "Leisasik sh'ani ve'evyon me'achecha." It says me'achecha, prat la'acherim, a goy you can hold back the wages. Now, gercha, the pasuk says what? Now, where does it say gercha? It says, B'yom titain v'lei savi elav hashemesh. Oimi gercha. It says le'sashik scheroni ve'evyon me'achecha. Oimi gercha Hashem me'artzecha b'sharecha. Why do we dash from the word? Why dash from the word ger? Say ger tzedek. Now, why would you think a ger tzedek not, guys? Isn't he a yid? A ger tzedek is a full-fledged yid. So why would you need a pasuk to go ahead, what? And tell me that you have to pay. There's an issue by get tzedek. So Tosfos points out, guys, it says me'achecha. You know what me'achecha means? It doesn't say achecha. Me'achecha means from the muvchar of your brothers. So I would think just like by the parsha of B'kerev achecha, a ger can't be a king. So too by the din of Leisolin, maybe it's not me'achecha from the muvchar, the chosen of your brothers, because he joined late. Kamash Malon, that you still have to go ahead and there is an Issa. Bisharecha, when it says Bisharecha, just a second here. When it says Bisharecha, that's Ze Oichel Nevelis. That's the Ger Toishav. So that's I know a Ger Toishav is in the Parsha. Ein liela Schar Adam. Minayin l'Rabbis Behema v'Kelim. How do I know to include Behema v'Kelim? Hamaloi me'bi'artzecha. Kol she'bi'artzecha. Halalu, and all of these, meaning Adam, Kalim, Behema, they're all over on all the Shemais, and that's the chart that said Hakol. Mikan Amru, Echet Sker Adam, Echet Sker Behema, Echet Sker Kalim, Yesh Boy Mishum, Biyom Titain Scharai, Yesh Behem Mishum, Bal Solin Pula Sachir. Okay, so that is, guys, in a nutshell, let's again, That is the shita of the Tanakama. Hakol is included. He dashed into everything. Everything's in the ballpark. Good, great. Okay. Weiter. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ger Toishav, Yesh by Mishum Biyomo Titein Scharai, the aim by Mishum Leisolim Behema V'Kalim. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that a Ger Toishav is in the ballpark of Biyom Titein, but he's not in the ballpark of Leisolim. That's like the Tana of Mishnah. That's like the Tana of Mishnah. It's not the Lav, just the Asay. Right. The aim by Mishum. And by Ger Toishav, there's no parsha of Leisolim Behemoth V'Kalim. Excuse me. Ve'ein ben Mishum Leisolim. Now, Behemoth V'Kalim, this is where Rabbi Yosef Yehuda does not fit into our Mishnah. Guys, remember, in our Mishnah, the Tanakama says Behemoth V'Kalim, Yichai for everything. Then he says, Behemoth V'Kalim, Ein Behem Eli Mishum Bal Tashek Bilvad. Only Bal Tashek. So now money. I Tanakama Demeachecha Kasha Ger Toishav. Because he said Ger Toishav is totally in the parsha. We said only in the Asay. Rabbi Yossi Kasha Behema V'Kalim. Because we said Behema V'Kalim is everything, and he said only Bal Tashek. So l'chayra, how does that work out? So Marav, you're right. Neither one is the Tana of Mishnah, but who's the Tana of Mishnah? Haitana Tana Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana of Mishnah is the Tana of Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana of Rabbi Shmuel. Echad Schar Adam, the Echad Schar Behema, the Echad Schar Kalim. He's got to be everything in the ballpark. Yesh by Mishum Biyomo Titin Skaroi, Mishum Leisolim Ger Toishav, right? Mishum Solim, Kama. So totally in the ballpark. That's just like us. Ger Toishav, Yesh by Mishum Biyomo Titin Skaroi, V'yein by Mishum Bal Solim. So the Tana of the Tana of Rabbi Shmuel, guys, he's the Tana of the Mishnah. You're in the ballpark when it says Schar Be'im V'Kalim. You're in the ballpark of Hakol. When it comes to Ger Toishav, you're only in the ballpark of Yom Titein, and therefore the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi cannot be the Tana of the Mishnah. The Tanakama because of Hakol, and Rabbi Yossi because of Leish Sashlei, because of the there. Now the Gemara is going to go through how does each one know? How does each one know? I really should keep this open. It's just foolish of me not to. Okay, I'm just going to keep it open. Now we're gonna see why does each one hold what they do. Okay, again, here's our two parshias. Says the Gemara. My time in the Tanakama Me'achecha, who says Hakol Hakol. Guys, the Tanakama says everything, right? Hakol Hakol. Gomar Socher Socher. He learns out Socher Socher. Like Sasuk Schar Ani Ve'avyoin. B'yom Titin Schar. Guys, look. So anything that's in the parsha over here is in the parsha over here. So just like here using the whole parsha, so here, Sacher Sacher. That's how he knows everything's in everything. Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, Loigoma Sacher Sacher. He didn't have that Kabbalah from his Rebbe. So he didn't have that Kabbalah from his Rebbe. So he only had like Sashek going by Schar Adam Behemoth V'Kalim. Nehid Loigoma Sacher Sacher Behemoth V'Kalim Mishum B'Yom Titin Svari Nami L'Chayev. Why does he say, guys? Why does he say you only over Sashek? Why does he include the parsha of B'Yom Titain? Why is there no asay? Why is there no asay by Adam V'Kalim and Behema? Why only Sashek? Why is there no what? Why is there no asay? That's why is there no asay? Back in the Gemara. Tani Rabbi Chanina Amakra v'leisavu elav Hashemesh ki anihu. Okay, the pasuk says. Ki savay love Hashemesh, ki anihu. Good. That's what the pasuk says. My mi shehin boyin l'dei anius. Who is the mitzvah guys of B'Yom Titain? Guys, look at the pasuk. It's beautiful. Who's in the ballpark of B'Yom Titain? Someone who's in the ballpark of ani. Right. What about is a behem in the ballpark of an ani? Is Caleb in the ballpark of an ani? So Mamela, since they're not in the ballpark of an ani, they're not in the ballpark of Yom Titain Scharai. And therefore, Rabbi Yosef Yehuda says you only overlay Sashik. It's Geshmak right in front of you, right, guys? It's right in front of you. There it is. So that Mishain boin l'dei anias vashiris yatsa behem of a kalim shein boin l'dei anias vashiris. The Tanakama who says of what of Rabbi Yossi who says you are in the ballpark of everything. He says you are in the ballpark of everything. Why? Hi ki ani hu may avidlei. What does he do with the ki ani hu? What does he do with the miyat of Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda? Because he includes everything. If you have two people working for you, an ani and an asher, right? And you might think you give to the asher first, you should pay the ani first. In other words, you have wages, you owe two people wages, but you only have wages for one of them. So if it's an ani and an asher, first give to the ani. That's what you're teaching me. That you're going to teach me. You're giving to the. You're going to give to the. You're going to give to the ani. That's where he knows that from. From the ani who that first you give to the ani, then you give to the asher. Now, where does Rabbi Yossi Agluli know that from? Since he uses ani as a miyut of biyomo titain, Rabbi Yossi Yehuda, where does he know that first you give to the ani? What did the pasuk say? Right? What did the pasuk say? He learns it out of here. He doesn't need ki anihu. He doesn't need this pasuk. He has this pasuk to teach me that. The Tanakama, what does he do with that pasuk? Chad lahagdim ani la'asher, the chad lahagdim ani la'evyon. In other words, an ani is poor and evyon's poorer. You would think the evyon gets first, the ani gets first. Says the Gemara B'tzricha, you need to tell me both. You need to tell me not the Tanakama chad lahagdim ani la'asher, chad lahagdim ani la'evyon. B'tzricha. Tiashmin an evyon mishum blei kosef lemitve. The evyon, he's not embarrassed to make his claim. He's so poor, he's not embarrassed to make his claim. Avaloshe, the cost of the mitve, is embarrassed to make his claim. Aimaloi, I would say you pay him first. Viashmin and Ashia, Mishum Blay Sarchle, he doesn't need it, therefore you don't pay him first. Aval Evian the Sarchle Aimaloi, that you pay him first. So Tzricha, the Tanadidan Man of Shach. Iyal of Sachas Sacher, I feel like I Taishav Nami. And Eloyal of Sachas Sacher, the Haim of Kalim Minole. Where does he know what? The Haim of Kalim. Now we have a kasha based upon the Lima guys, Tanakama guys. Watch. Sacher. Everything that applies over here applies over here. Now you're telling Tanakama, now if he learns a sacher, right, then he knows this. But if he doesn't learn sacher, then we have a problem. Says, what's the problem? Says the Gemara. Our Tana now, we're leaving the Tana of the Brisa, and we're going to the Tana of our Mishnah. The Tana Didon, our Tana, Mon of Shach. Iyal of sacher, Afil Ger Taishav Nami should be in the Parsha of Leisolin. Eloyal of sacher, Behem of Kalim and Ale. Where does he know Behem of Kalim? Guys, watch. How did Tanakama know both? He learned sacher. So if he learned sacher, how does he know the Ger Taishav is not in the ballpark of Leisolin? Good. And if he doesn't learn sacher, and if he learns sacher, and if he doesn't learn sacher, how does he know that the Haim of a Kalim is everything? Maybe it's only like Sasha, like Rabbi Yossi, because Rabbi Yossi didn't learn sacher. So the Gemara is asking a lam the shakasha. If he holds like the Tanakh, if he holds sacher, he shall like the Tanakama, and if he doesn't hold sacher, he shall like Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda. That's what it's on Atana. We're asking, how does he know his din? Says the Gemara, Lo'ilam lo'yolav sacher. Itaka does not learn sacher. So why doesn't he hold like Rabbi Yossi? V'shani hasam damakra. Like Salam Pula Sacher itcha ad biker, kol she pula say itcha. Anyone whose pula is with you, right? Anyone whose pula is with you, right? You're going to go ahead and learn out that he's in the parsha. So where are you learning it from? May itcha, kol she pula say itcha. That the schar is mutal on you, and even in other words. Did the behemoth work for you guys? Yes. Did the kalim work for you? Yes. Why does it say itcha? Anyone who's with you, you got to pay, and therefore he said you got to pay. So even though he doesn't learn sacher, he's going to hold that you have to pay. Geschmack. Okay, guys, look. So therefore, at the chart, if you're saying itcha includes behemoth of kalim, let's include the ger taishav also. Why is the Ger Taishav out of the ballpark? You should include the Ger Taishav as well. Why is the Ger Taishav out of the ballpark? Says the Gemara. The pasuk says, Reyacha, your brother, your friend, like a Toshav. You had a miyat. Says the Gemara, Yehachi afil behem v'kel, let's be maya behem v'kem nami. Says the Gemara, Ksivitcha. We have a riboy. So we decided to exclude ger Toshav and include behem v'kelim. Umaroyas the rabbis behem v'kelim uloitzi ger Toshav. Why do you see it fit to include behem v'kelim and to take out a ger Toshav? Says the Gemara, Mistaber behem v'kelim havilei l'rabbis shken yesh lebechal mamin reyacha. Ger v'Toshav eina bechal mamin reyacha. Because reyacha, the behem v'kelim are your brothers, are your friends, v'chasim. But ger Toshav is not. Tanakama de me'achecha hay reyacha me'avadlei. The Tanakama of the Brayso of reyacha. What does he do with the reyacha, which the Chachamim used to exclude the ger Toshav? Guys, good. Ger Toshav, right? That's ger Toshav because it says reyacha. What does this Tanakama do with reyacha? Why does he use reyacha to exclude a ger Toshav le'solen? The Tanakama reyacha hay reyacha me'avadlei. When we buy le'lechidetanya, reyacha v'loy amaleki. Again, I don't know why they pick amaleki. I didn't get a chance to look. Amaleki me'achecha nafka. I don't need reyacha. I know that from me'achecha. Top line, guys. Top line of the Yomid. Me'achecha prat la'acherim. Right? So why do I need reyacha to teach me that? I learned it from achecha. It says one is it's permitted to go ahead and hold back his wages. You can even steal from him. Is amaleki. B'tzricha. You need both. The Yashmin and Gozlay Mishum Blay Tarach Bey. He wasn't in trouble himself. He stole it, so you can steal it from him. Gozlay means not that it means Gozlay. It's something that he stole. Aval Oishkai did Tarach Gabay, but Oishkai where he worked for it, Emaloi. The Yashmin and Oishkai Mishum Blay Asli Yade never came to his hands. Aval because he never had the wages. Aval Gozlay does the Yade Emaloi Sitzricha. Now Rabbi Yosef Yehuda highlight Solon Pulasachi Itcha Adbaike May Avidlay. Like Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, guys, where does he apply the Solon? He says like Sashik by Beim of a Kalim, by Ger Toshav he says Biyom Titain. So what does he apply it for? Highlight Solon Pulasachi Itcha Adbaike May Avidlay. Mi boyle lecheb Yosef Ravasi. Dam Ravasi. I feel like Sacher Elo lifts le Yashkalecha. Even if you want to only hire him to harvest one cluster, Shalanavim Oivim Mishum Solon. You don't have to do a big fancy job. Even if you do what? A shtickle job, you will be over by Solon. Even a bit of a job, you'll be over. That's what he uses that for. Fred Gemara, the Idach, where does the other Tanoim know it from? From the Elov. It says, the pasuk says, the Elov hu naisha, that's nafshay, nafka. The Avamaisa nafshay love. A person, he's going to be maisa nefesh to climb trees, to go ahead and put himself in danger to give you. The Idach, Rabbi Yosef Yehuda, what does he do with what? With the Itach. How does he dash an Itach? We boil the Chiditanya. They love who knows as nafshay. They ma ola, right? Zeba kevesh. Why did this guy go up a ramp? The nitla the ilan and hang in a tree. Must have nasser the misa. Loyal schara was not as for schar. Okay, and therefore he should be kabbalah schar bismanoi. So davaracha they love who knows as nafshay. Kala kovish sasacha. Anyone who holds back sasacha, kill a noitel nafshay mimena. Okay, I know I went a little bit fast in the end. Sorry.